Take me back to the garden. Lead me back to the moment I heard your voice. Lead me back to communion. Lead me back to the moment I saw your face. It was oh so simple. It's so easy to love. With no space between us, you're so easy to trust. 'Cause you are closer, closer than my skin. You are in the air I'm breathing in. Here's where the dead things come back to living. I feel my heart beating again. It feels so good to know you are my friend. And this is the garden, here in the place I find you close. This is communion, here in the place I'm fully known. It was oh so simple. You're so easy to love. With no space between us, you're so easy to trust. 'Cause you are closer, closer than my skin. Yes, you are. You are in the air I'm breathing in. Here's where the dead things come back to living. I feel my heart beating again. It feels so good to know you are my friend. This is where I'm meant to be. Me and you and me. I don't have to prove a thing. You've already approved of me. This is where I'm meant to be. Me and you and me. Oh, and I don't have to prove a thing. You've already approved of me. Oh, this is where I'm meant to be. Me and you and me. I don't have to prove a thing. You've already approved of me. 'Cause you are closer, closer than my skin. Yes, you are. You are in things beating again. It feels so good to know you are my friend.
Some of y'all don't know me. I don't go to this church. I was invited by Sagan. And on this trip, I got saved and gave my life to God. But I thought I was saved at 7. I was 7 and I slept the whole preaching service, and Mom woke me up and was angry, so I thought I could make her happy and go to the altar. So I went to the altar, and what I thought was giving my life to God, but I don't think I know I never really did. And then I got and then I got baptized 2 weeks later, I think, and I don't even remember it. That's how vague it was, and it just didn't mean anything to me at the time. And after that, I started hanging around the wrong crowd, and I was probably the worst kid out there. My mom told me I was the devil, and I was. But I didn't believe her, and I was a terrible sister and daughter and friend to everybody, and I pushed people away that could have helped me. And I stopped believing that there even was a God. I told myself when I was 18 I wouldn't have to go to church anymore, and I was so excited to turn 18 because I would be done with all this. Wouldn't have to talk to all these people that want to pray for me. And then I went through some school stuff, and I just started doing bad in school and didn't make the right friends, and then I told myself maybe if there is a God out there, some God, that I can just pray to every single one of them and one of them will answer me. None of them answered. I was not praying to the right one. And then I mentally prepared myself for hell, to go to hell. I didn't care. That's how bad it was. I just stopped caring. I knew where I was going, and it was not heaven. And it didn't faze me. And then about 3 months ago, I started really listening in church and paying attention and taking notes, and some of the stuff actually started making sense to me instead of just it going one in one ear and out the other. And then Sagan and Sadie told me about the trip, and I decided to tag along. And Sunday morning that we left, I cried because I did not want to come. Which sounds awful, but I really didn't want to, because I knew something was going to happen, something was up. I had a funny feeling, I didn't know what it was. And cried the car ride here. And whenever we got to the chapel, I walked in there, and there was this really weird feeling, and my heart sank that I'd never felt before. And it scared me. And I told Kaden, I said, I just got a weird feeling. And she goes, that's a good thing, Aubrey. And I was like, oh, okay. So we went and sat down in that first night. After everything was over, I looked where he was singing from, and I didn't know if that was an altar or not, so I just kind of brushed it away, and I was like, whatever. So then people started going to the altar, and I was like, okay, this is it. So I brought Marissa over there, and I told her to pray with me. And I cried because I knew something was happening, and a little bit of weight was lifted off of me. And then Monday came, and that morning, I just kind of sat there, didn't really listen. And then lunch came around, and it started hitting me. Felt like someone was like punching me in the chest. And went to the altar and I just poured out my heart. And I went to Lori that day, Monday, and I said, I think I'm saved, but I wasn't for sure. And then Tuesday, same thing, except I really started listening. Listened all morning, bunch of notes. Went to the altar, I think, every time that day, except for in the morning. Went at lunch. And then CJ preached that night. Oh, DJ! That's embarrassing. I'm sorry. No, I'm really gonna cry. That's embarrassing. And then DJ kind of preached, and everything started really making sense. And we something amazing happened. We all went to the altar, and everybody just prayed. We were there for 3 hours. Prayed and didn't stop. And I don't think I've ever prayed so hard in my whole life. And then I got up from praying, and I ran to Lori. Pretty sure I jogged. I gave it a good little go. And I told Lori, I said, I'm saved and I know it. I know I am. There was nobody could tell me different. She was like, you want to go tell everybody? And I was like, really? She was like, yeah, go to DJ. I do not remember walking up those steps, walking to the stage. I swear I floated. Promise. I floated. I do not remember walking there. And I told DJ, I said, I'm saved. I gave my life to God. And he hugged me. When I told everybody, and everybody just gave me this big hug. It was the best feeling. Yeah, that's it.
So the first night we got there, I walked into the chapel, and it just felt different. Oh my God, I'm so glad. Okay, it felt so different, and I didn't really know what it was, but it felt good. And we went to the chapel 3 times a day. And normally when my Uncle Brian preaches, he's the preacher at my church, he takes an hour, maybe even 45 minutes sometimes, and I'm like, oh my God, literally just shut up now. Because he talks for a lot. And then last night we were there for 3 hours, and we done nothing but pray and worship after CJ's what he had to say. And it felt maybe we were there for 10 minutes. It did not feel like 3 hours at all. And it just felt so real. I had talked to Jesus before, and I had talked to God, and I had really prayed, but last night I had an encounter, and it was so great. And we were told, we don't have to just look for this at the trip. When we get home, we can bring God with us, and we can worship and do the whole chair thing, which really helps. And it was just so good. And then when we were singing and just worshiping before, we didn't even realize God came in. But we were just worshiping and stuff, and it just felt so real. And that was when I realized it really does not have to just go to a Floyd. I went to a Floyd looking for that, and that's why he showed up, and that's why DJ said he showed up. But I walked in here today expecting him again, and I expected him to show up again, and he did. So it doesn't just have to stay at Floyd. We can bring him wherever we want to. And I don't know, that was just really important to me.
Hello. Okay, many of y'all, well, not many, a lot of y'all know me. I'm Bradley. Y'all may know me as the fun kid, the funny kid who loves everybody. I come from a broken family. My mom and dad, they got a divorce when I was 7. And a lot of y'all do know I was born in California. First question I get asked, why here? Why Alabama? Why this small place? And I hate sharing it with people, but my biological dad cheated on my mom 17 times. And she just kept going back and back and back because she was blinded by love. I caught him five of those 17 times. And every time I went and told my mom, later that night when she went to college or when she went to work, I was beat for it and I was blamed for it. He blamed me. So I thought it was my fault. And I've thought that for years until I started coming 7th grade when I was invited from a friend. And then I just started listening. And that's when I was saved a Wednesday night. DJ started the lesson, God is good, sin is bad. And then he just went deep into it. And that's when I got home, I told my mom, I told her everything. And then I went to sleep that night, and I just had a dream. I can't tell you exactly what it was. I was just falling, and then I started burning. And then I look, and I just see Satan. I woke up screaming, sweating, crying. My mom came running in the room, making sure I was okay. And then I told her what happened. And she sat with me that night, and we prayed, and I gave my life to God. And there's something else that's happening in my life right now. After I get out of this service, I don't know if I'm going to go home to my mom and stepdad or just my mom. Because it was Sunday morning when I was driving here, my dad gave me a phone call, and he said, I love you, and I always will. And he said, you know, me and your mom have been going through some stuff. And he said he didn't know if he was going to be home when I got back. I asked him if I needed to turn around and go back home to see if I could do anything. And he told me to go on this trip. But I don't think he told me to. I think the Lord told me to. But I called him, and he said that they worked it out. But I honestly think that he just said that so I just free my mind of it. So I'm going to go home today. I'm going to see if my mom and dad actually did work it out. Or if I'm just going to, I'm going to have to be the strong one for my siblings again. I have 4 of them. I'm the oldest. My little brother and sister, they didn't know what happened at the first time with my mom and dad. I never let them know. They still don't know to this day that I was beat for it. And I don't want to tell them because they want a relationship with him. And I'm going to let them build that relationship with him, but I don't talk to him. I don't care for him at this point. He comes up once a year. And I have to go to watch my siblings. But this year, he's supposed to come up soon. I don't think I'm going to go see him. I'm going to beg my mom and tell her that I'm not going. They can go see him if they want to. I actually have a scar on my arm. I've broke my arm 3 times, 3 years in a row, 6, 7, and 8. I was riding my bike the first time, and I fell, and the bike landed on my arm. I came running up to him, my dad, and he said it wasn't broken. He grabbed my arm and pulled and snapped my arm in half, and then he didn't do anything. I had to wait until my mom came home, and she just saw my arm dangling, rushed me to the hospital. I'm lucky that I still have my arm. I was in surgery for 6 to 7 hours. I remember waking up in the middle of my surgery, just seeing my arm cut open. And then right after surgery, I was in the gown that they gave me walking with the nurse. and I tripped and fell because I was going to see my mom. I was so happy to see her and to thank her, and I tripped on the gown, and the 4 metal pins that were holding my arm all came out, every single one, so my arm was back. So I had to go back in for another surgery, another 6-hour surgery. I had to spend my birthday in that hospital. My dad wasn't there. My mom had to skip work for a week, and she didn't go to college. And she stayed right beside me. Thank y'all for providing for this trip. I think if I didn't go, I wouldn't be as close as I am to the Lord today. And I just wanted to thank all y'all.
My name's Kirby. This is my second time going to a Floyd. Last year was my first time, and I got saved last year. Praise the Lord. And first off, I want to thank y'all for allowing us to go on the trip. And I was going to share a little bit of what stuck out in the lessons. First off was Justin's. His lesson was on. First of all, I'm a visual learner, and I have to see things to understand them good. And Justin brought a rope, and the rope, you have to have 2 people on each end of the rope to hold it together. And he showed us that we always need to be an accountability partner and have one with someone else and hold theirs, and that someone else is always holding ours. Also, Miss April's. She also did a visual one, and it was a piece of popcorn. And she said that it wasn't popped, first of all. And the popcorn represented, it was worthless, useless. It didn't smell good. Nobody was attracted to it. And she said that when the popcorn was popped, it attracted people, and it wanted people to have the same feeling as you, basically. And I've learned that it's okay to be worthy and be obedient to God. It doesn't matter what other people think and what they feel about you. And then, what else? Oh, DJs. He said that you have to say, "Here I am," for the Lord. And you can just talk to him like he's your brother. Your father, my bad. And there was one more. Oh, you have to increase him and decrease yourself. And that really spoke out to me. And that's it, pretty much.
Now? Oh, it's like that? Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Kaden. Hey, Mimi. That's my aunt. Anyways, this is my first Floyd trip, and I was really, really, really nervous. Isabella told me that I had to come or she'd be mad, so I came. And so I get really sad thinking, that if I didn't, that I wouldn't have had what happened that night happen. It felt really weird because I guess kids aren't supposed to worship God. They are, but you get what I'm saying. And so it was the weirdest thing. You go up there and you just, you want to pray, cry a little bit, get up and walk back to your seat. But there was something holding me to the altar that was there. It was crazy. It was awesome. And next thing you know, we were all standing up and our hands were up, and CJ was yelling, and it was really cool, and it was life-changing. And about the rope thing, Justin's lesson on the rope, your rope holders have to be, people who hold your rope. And Mimi is my rope holder. She hasn't let it fall not once. Okay, anyways. I just want to say thank you to her because she's been there at the hardest times. I mean, and I don't deserve it. I love Jesus. Anyways, thank you.
I'm not a very big crier. This like hurts right now. But I come from a backstory like DJ. I'm a PK, as he says. I'm a preacher's kid. But I mean, if to the friends that meet me in school, Holden, Gavin, he's not here, but Kirby, Alexi, I promise you, never think I was a preacher's kid. I'm a mouth of a sailor. But man, when I went to this trip, the first night I walked in there, I just felt peaceful. I've never felt more peace in my life. I felt good. I felt great. So we come back that same night, on that Sunday night, and DJ gave us another chance to go to the altar after we'd already had our first chance. And I was sitting there and I told myself, I said, I'll wait for somebody to go up there and I'll follow them. Man, the first time I've ever heard God speak to me was that night. He told me. He said, I didn't make you a follower. He said, I made you a leader. He said, you take that first step and they'll follow. So I took my first step to the altar, and I was the first one. And after I got done praying, I turned around and everybody else was standing behind me. And man, it hit me hard. I cried every night. Every night. But last night was insane. It was incredible. And Miss Parnell, your lesson was deep, really deep. Surrender. So last night, I've always told myself that I was saved at 8 years old in a VBS at Oak Grove. But man, I just wanted, when I go back, I realized that all I wanted to do was just fit in. It wasn't real. It wasn't real. It was just to fit in and to look like everybody else that I had that was a friend. But last night, I went to Miss Parnell and I told her, I said, it's for real this time. I said, I'm ready to change. I said, I'm done. I take this weight off my shoulders and I throw it down. It's at his feet. I give it to him. And she sat there and prayed with me. And as I prayed, I had all this pain built up from the things that I've done to my parents, my brothers, my friends. I just felt so peaceful. It was calm. I went from crying to smiling. And I felt so good. And I wanted to share it with everybody else that was in that room with me. So I just went to everybody and I started praying. But man, for anybody else that's a youth in here that's going to go next year, you really need to go because it's insane. Because I know I'm going again.
Sorry.
My name is Lexi. Sorry, I'm emotional. First of all, I want to thank y'all for letting us go on this trip because it was awesome. Can't wait to go back next year. I know I just got done, but I know it's going to be good. So we got down there Sunday, and it was good. It was a good lesson, but most of the time people go on this trip and they have something going on. They go on this trip, they have like addictions or whatever, and they say, I'm going to put it down. I'm going to say, hey, here, God, this is yours. I'm not doing this anymore. Take it from me. But when I was thinking about going on this trip, I was like, I don't have anything like that. I mean, thank God I don't have anything like that. But again, at the same time, it's like, what am I supposed to do? You get what I'm saying? So I went on this trip, and I was, sorry, I'm really shaky. So I went on this trip, and I felt God working in me, but not like I had in the past years. So last night came, and DJ said, what's holding you back from keeping you from God? The first thing that came to my mind was me. It's me keeping me from getting closer to my God, from worshiping Him like I should. I sit over there Sunday mornings and I go raise my hands and I'm like, oh, what if the person behind me can't see? What if they think I'm crazy? I think all these negative thoughts, and I just say, not now, God, not now. Put my hands back down and I just sing. So last night I said, Lexi, get out the way. It's God's time. It's God's time to use you. It's God's time to shine through you. And guess what I did? I said, Lexi, get out the way. She did. And that's the closest I felt to God in a long time, if not ever. Like, I don't have any words for how awesome it was. And y'all don't know how much I want each and every one of y'all to experience that. So I challenge y'all, when y'all go to church next time or right now, expect God to move, because if you do, then He is.
And I had a lesson and we talked about a lot of scripture, but I wanted them to compare their spiritual life to this piece of popcorn. this unpopped popcorn. And I'm going to ask all of you to do the same because they've done it. This piece of popcorn right here, it's hard. It's tasteless. It's odorless. And it can't be digested. It's pointless. What are you going to do with a piece of popcorn kernel? Nothing. And even if you take a whole bunch of these popcorn kernels and you put them together, you ain't got nothing until it's put to the heat. When this popcorn kernel gets hot and that spirit lights it, it allows what's on the inside of this to come out. And then you have a fluffy piece of popcorn that's now soft. And it's edible. And it has a really good taste. And it has an aroma about it that makes everybody else want it. Are you a fluffy piece of popcorn or are you hard? And that's what I ask them. And then last night, Chad was singing Good, Good Father. And we had an encounter last night, right? We had an encounter last night. And in that song, Good, Good Father, it says, I want to take you deeper. And when you go into water and you go deeper and you stay there for a long time, what happens? You're going to drown. How can I survive if I'm going deeper with God? I can't. I can't survive if God's wanting me to go deeper. And I don't know how much deeper I can go than what we did last night, y'all. It was good stuff. But he didn't create me so that I could live. He created me so that he could live through me. I'm heartbroken. I'm burdened because a lot of people's wood is wet. We come to church on Sunday mornings and we act like we got it all together. We ain't got it together. Guess what? You ain't got it together. Why? Why do you pretend? Why do you pretend? So that's my question for you. You've been challenged by my kid just challenged you. DJ came to me last night and he said, your kid's a rock star. I said, I wish I could take credit for that, but she's God's. You've been challenged by a 14-year-old kid. And I'm asking you, are you a hard piece of popcorn? Or are you willing and ready to experience an encounter with my God that will allow you to have an aroma about you that everybody that is around you wants it?
Hi, I'm like April. I'm never short on words. And I kept saying I wasn't going to say anything tonight. I wasn't going to say anything tonight. I wasn't going to say anything tonight. I've thought about something all the way home. So for those of you who don't know, I'll just give you a little backstory. When your new used bus breaks down before you ever get to the cabin, you know God's got a plan. And Satan's up to something. And unfortunately, when that happened, that was not the attitude I had. I was sitting on the side of the road with Chad and Jake and 11 hot, grumpy teenagers that wanted us to fix it. But But as the kids have shared, something happened last night. And I'm like these other adults. Y'all, I'm not a shouter. I'm not an amener. I sit back there about where Kyle's sitting way too many Sundays when I feel like I need to stand up and say something. And I don't get up. I just turned 39 a few months ago. And I was so filled up last night, I couldn't stand still. If I wasn't so fat, I'd have been sprinting around the chapel. But as we drove back today, usually the leaders kind of chit-chat, keep each other awake, and Jake had some things going on, so he was on the phone. So I had a lot of time to think, driving that bus back from Gatlinburg. And I shared with the kids when I did my lesson on rope holders that I understood that I came from a different home life than a lot of our kids. Mom and Dad's back there. They've been married a long time, like 40 plus years, 43. And Monday morning, I didn't want to teach my lesson. I really didn't. I didn't feel prepared. I didn't feel like it was going to flow right. I didn't feel like it was. I just kept trying to psych myself out of it. And I shared with the kids. I contacted 2 people. And one of them was my daddy. I said, pray for me. Because I just don't know. I needed my rope holder. And I told the kids, I said, who your rope holder is matters. It needs to be a faithful friend. I used the story of the friends who lowered their friend through the roof, the paralyzed man. And those 4 friends did whatever it took to get him to Jesus. Because there were no hospitals. There were no MRIs. There was no urgent care. They knew for him to walk again, he had to get before Jesus. And they did whatever it took. I used I don't know if you call it a poem or a whatever that I had found about being a rope holder. And it said, hold the rope. Let it burn, but hold the rope. It's going to bleed, but hold the rope. Don't let that rope go at all cost. Guys, those of you that are from this church, those of you who are not from this church who have kids in other churches, they need their rope holders. They need faithful Christian church members and family members holding their ropes at all costs, getting them and keeping them close to Jesus. Because I told DJ, I said, I know Brother David's all about the speed limit, but I'm ready to get here. Let's have church again. Last night, one of the kids asked me what time it was on the way back, and it was actually 3.5 hours, but that's neither here nor there. And she said, really? Because it doesn't seem like it's been that long. I said, well, we can go back. You want to go back? Let's do this again. And Jake and I were talking when we went to get the bus this morning. We hop up with Floyd. We hop up the chapel. We hop up the sky altar, which never even happened this year because God was moving so much last night. And like GJ said, these kids have figured it out. A chapel doesn't mean anything. It's where we meet him, so we think it means something. But you can meet him here. I can meet him in the car. It's important to where I invite him. And that he's there, and that I'm using that to guide the lives that he's entrusted to me to guide. So I'm asking you, will you be a rope holder?
Hello, my name is Hayden Tobias, and this is my first year too with Floyd. And when I found out I was going, I was nervous but very excited at the same time. And I didn't know what would happen. Like, I wasn't really expecting God to move. I don't know why I wasn't, but. And yesterday, when we had an encounter with God, I cried. I cried and cried and cried. Because I knew he was moving. And yesterday, I learned to let God just take over everything, because he's in control of everything, and I live just to serve him.
Remember me? I'm the quiet kid from last year. So, I'm about the opposite of Jonah. I like to cry a lot. Too sweet. I'm gonna try and hold back the tears though. So, I got saved in an old, crappy North Sand Mountain gym, and that that night I really didn't want to go because I was so bored, and I was just a kid and didn't know. I felt something in my chest, and I just walked up there and gave my heart to Jesus. It felt so good. So the first night, Sunday night, I cried so much. And then the whole Monday, I barely cried at all. I just couldn't cry any more tears. That Tuesday night, oh my goodness, how unbelievable it was. I felt the presence of God just moving. It was insane. I was like DJ, shouting, clapping, praising God to the fullest. It was unexplainable. And that's about all I got.
Every one of y'all was wondering what Clifford the Big Red Dog's doing up here, but most of y'all know me because of, well, I look like who y'all know me by, anyways. But I was like Lexi, I didn't really go on this trip because I didn't really have anything going on. I'm not addicted to anything. I go to school, do normal stuff like a normal kid. I mean, on prom night, everybody else was out drinking, and I sit in my friend's house playing Xbox, for crying out loud. But I've been having some issues with people that I know, family members, friends. Because I was being a real, I'm gonna put this nice, I was being a real butthead. And I always thought that it was everybody else's fault and that I wasn't the problem. It was like everybody I was arguing with was the problem. And this trip, I used it for a lot of self-reflection. And every one of y'all that knows me, y'all know I'm a smart aleck. It is what it is. But I've started to realize that it's me that was the problem. I don't know how to put it in the words to say that what's happened to me over the last couple of days, but it's been a lot because I did not want to go on this trip, but I sure needed it. And back when Justin was talking about having a rope holder, I need to realize that I've got everybody else, anybody I want in the world that could hold my rope for me. But I refuse because the rope is two ends. And you got to have two people to hold it. And everybody else is trying to hold up my rope. I ain't holding on to it. I'm pushing everybody away. So I want to thank y'all for letting us go on this trip, and I just want y'all to pray for me that I can be doing better about that.
First of all, I want to thank all y'all for letting us go on this trip. Okay. So, on the trip, Justin talked about rope holders, and I'm going to copy Caden for just a little bit. But I have two rope holders, and one's my dad, and the other one's my brother. My brother's 9 years old, which, yeah. But there are nights where I'm really upset because I get upset really easily. I'm a very emotional person. But there's small things that my dad does. He comes to my room and he comforts me, and I cry in his arms about stuff that happens between me and my mom. And there are nights where, it's like super late, and, he texts me like these small little texts that's like, good night, I love you, and Bible verses, and all these like videos, these motivational videos from Facebook. And then my brother, he's 9 years old, he doesn't know anything, but he's very energetic, and he's kind of like a little bit annoying. He's very loud, but whenever I'm stressed or just having like trouble on something, it's kind of weird, but I like tell him everything, and he doesn't really care, but like he also kind of comforts me in a weird way. Like his sense of humor is kind of making fun of me, but making fun of me in a good way? It's weird, but I'm just thankful for the both of them, and last night was amazing. Like, when DJ put down the chair, everybody went to the altar, and we all prayed, and we all cried, and we had our hands up, and Chad was singing these. His voice is wonderful. But I think I kind of killed my knees because, like, I fell. But usually I'm really nervous. I don't really raise my hands. I don't really, pray or come to the altar as much. But that night, I didn't care because it was just between me and God, and It was about nobody else, about what other people were thinking. It was just between me and God. And thank you, DJ. Like, I can't thank you enough for it. And I also want to thank Hallie, because Hallie is the whole reason why I'm here. It took me a while, but thank you, Hallie, again, for asking me to come here.
Just so y'all know, Chad is in the class with us every Wednesday night, and the youth know he's always my backup, because every time I finish, while I'm speaking, Chad's over there just burning up note pages of stuff, and so I always say, "You got anything?" So it's because I know that he does. That's what I just did to him. I said, "Hey, you got anything?" Of course he does.
This was a pretty special trip, and like all the kids have already said, thank y'all for allowing us to go on this trip. It was pretty amazing. Every time we get there, like when we first show up, we'll start unloading everything and kind of getting everything halfway organized, and then every year me and DJ's like, let's go up to the chapel. And I'll take my guitar and we'll start setting everything up, and as soon as we walk in, just the presence of the Lord, I mean, it almost takes your breath away. And like everybody's already said, it's not the place. But when we walk in there, we're expecting God to be there. We're expecting God to move in our lives while we're there. And I mean, every year, me and DJ, we have a service in there all by ourselves, because we expect God to show up, and lo and behold, He does every time. And it's just an awesome place. And like they've already said, last night, I've been on this earth 40 years, and that's the heaviest I've ever felt the Holy Spirit last night, and seeing these kids standing up and praising God, not caring what anybody else thought about them. They were just praising God because He's worthy. And that was just an awesome sight to see. One thing I was reminded of when I came in here, I got here at about 5 o'clock, and DJ started texting me. He was like, "Hey, man, you need to come in here and see this." And I just kept on eating my taco salad. And then he come back there and he's like, "No, man, really, you need to come in here and see this." And I walked in, and the lights were down, and there's worship music playing. And these kids are sitting down here just like they are right now, with their hands raised, praising God. And nobody told them to come in here. They did that because they wanted to get in the same atmosphere that they were at while they were there at Wafloy. And they figured it out. They've brought it back. That's the thing that we've always talked about. Right before we come home, we've talked about how are we going to transition this when we get back? How are we going to keep this fire burning? Well, we didn't have to do anything. It was all God. God's the one he did it all. He's the one who lit the fire in each one of these kids down here, and they're burning. I'm reminded of the story of when Jesus went to Lazarus' house. And Martha, she was running around, and she was busy and, taking care of all the things that needed to be took care of. But it got to a point where she was worried about all of it. She was worried about getting everything done that she needed to get done. And so she goes up to Jesus, because here's Mary, and she's just sitting at Jesus' feet while He's teaching. And she goes up to Jesus, and she's like, "Listen, here I am busting my end, and Mary's up there, and she's just sitting at your feet. Aren't you going to tell her to do something?" And Jesus looked at her and said, "Mary, you're worried about a lot of different things that you don't need to be worried about right now. Mary, has chosen what is better, and I won't let you take it from her. These kids have found the better thing. They have found what is better, and it's sitting at the feet of Jesus. You know, I've told them over and over again, it seems like I guess about the past 5 or 6 months, is if we can just keep our eyes on Jesus, all of this other stuff will fall right into place. We don't have to worry about modifying our behavior or acting better or anything like that. When we keep our eyes on Jesus, everything else is going to fall into place. We're going to naturally do the right thing because we've got our eyes on him.
Y'all good? It is a little bit different this year. I normally ask. I try to, I'll give them. I did give Jonah the eye. I normally give them the eye and try to make them come up here and speak because I want y'all to just to have a taste of what us other adults get to experience with these young people. To y'all young people, thank y'all. It's thank you for being obedient to the Holy Spirit. That's been my prayer all week, and to be able to see that be fulfilled, it was just a blessing to my heart. I don't talk to basically any of y'all because I talk to the youth or people that help with the youth. Whenever we had Youth Sunday about 5 weeks ago, God just burdened my heart, and there was just a desire for God. I had a desire to be in the presence of a holy God. Something happened. I don't know what it is, but I do know what happened. I felt a calling, and I began to pray expectantly. And that's been my prayer for our youth, and that's been my prayer for our church. Honestly, I believe that change should start with you guys. I believe that as adults, it is our responsibility to show these kids what worship is, to show these kids how to worship God, how to be in the presence of God. But I told them this week, I'm like, if our church isn't going to do it, then next up, you're it. I don't want to keep us any longer. I know I told y'all 7:30, but I also don't want to interfere with anything that God's got going on. Here in a second, I'm going to ask Chad to play. We're basically just going to give another invitation. I don't know. I don't have words for what God's done. It's literally left me speechless. I've looked at almost every adult here over the past 24 hours and had a point where I said, I don't know what to do. And right now, I don't know what to do except for just worship. So Chad, if you want to sing, young people, y'all can do as you please. And whenever this finishes right here, I'll close this out. We'll be gone. I want to encourage you adults to worship with these young people. Don't make them do it by themselves. They need support, or maybe y'all need support. Young people, hey, if there's somebody else out there that you want to worship with, go get them. But remember, this is not about anybody else in this building, but it's about God. Forget everything else and be obedient to the Holy Spirit. Do you desire to be in the presence of God?
Caught up in your I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. And I'm sorry, and I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry, I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. Oh, I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. Call up in your presence, yeah. I just wanna sit here at your feet. Caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I just want you and nothing else, and nothing else, and nothing else will do. I just want you and nothing else, and nothing else, and nothing else will do. I just want you and nothing else, and nothing else, and nothing else will do. I just want you. I just want you. I just want you. I just want you. Oh, I just want you, Jesus. I'm caught up in your presence. Yeah. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. just want you. Like a rushing wind, would you breathe within my heart? Through the raging storm, would you hold me in your arms? 'Cause I need you. Well, I need you. I need your love like I need water. I need your love like I need breath. 'Cause I'm alone.
These two have a big, huge case of stage fright. And they said that they'd let me tell you what happened if I do the talking and they could stand here and hide. But this is Ben, Meg's brother that's been visiting sitting with Jordan. And this is Brody, Sagan's fella. And they both also got saved this week. So that puts us at a total of 4 new lives snatched out of Satan's hands. Stand corrected. There was a 5th one. She had to go to her church. So, is that a record? But they wanted to share, but didn't really want everybody to look at them. But they're bold and they come up, so they wanted y'all to know.
I know that Justin said that might be a record, but it's not about numbers. It's about recognizing the presence of the Holy Spirit and a calling on their life and them being able to answer that call. There was a couple of kids that accepted the Lord as their Savior that said they thought they used to be saved, and we talked about that. And there's no doubt in my mind that there's someone in this room that hadn't maybe an emotional experience at one point in their life, and they might think that they got saved, but they're not real sure about it. Listen, adults, it should not be embarrassing or a thing to be ashamed about to understand the calling of the Holy Spirit on your life when God says, I want you. Big deal if you thought you got saved at VBS in 1976 at Little Grove Church right there down the road, whatever it is. Who cares? It's between you and God. It's not something that you as an adult have to come to the altar and say your ABC prayer, or you don't have to wait till you get to your church. If God calls you, it's a you and God thing, and that's so important for you to understand. It's not something to be ashamed about, and that's something that some of these young people are like, hey, it's okay. But they wanted to know that they knew that they knew that they knew that whenever they left that building, that if something happened to them, they knew where they were going to go. Confirmation. That's okay. As we move forward, we're about to dismiss. You can ask these young people. They could stand here all night. A few of them I just saw shaking their head whenever I said we were about to dismiss. Y'all just don't get it. It's a gentleman's game. You wouldn't understand. That's it. You just wouldn't understand. I challenge you, adults. I have challenged these young people. Lexi has challenged you. So a ton of challenges, which is awesome because I love a good challenge. I love it. You're like, I get intense and they understand that. But I challenge you. This chair, there's a book called 2 Chairs. If you're a book reader, get it, read it, understand it. My dad is the pastor, most of you know. He introduced me to that book, and it changed my prayer life 5-6 years ago whenever he did that. It's something that I do on the daily. We should understand that God He lives within us if you're saved. We know that He's everywhere, but there's something about placing Him in the room with you. There's something about this chair that allows you to visualize and know that He's here. I've challenged these young people to use that in their own lives, to start having a conversation. Listen, if y'all heard my prayer with God, I told them I'm not a very reverent, just use all the words in the dictionary prayer whenever it comes to me talking to the God. It's, hey God, it's me again. I love you. Thank you for meeting with me today. And I told him, I said, my one thing that I do is I say, here I am. What do you want to do today? I challenge you as adults to recognize God in your prayer life and say, here I am. What would you have me do? No matter the consequences. We tend to put this little like, oh God, as long as you don't make me do this, I'll do this. That's not full worship. Second thing I challenge you to do, and you've heard a ton of them, Justin apparently hit the home run because everybody talked about your rope holder. These youth need a rope holder. And that's on you. If you have a child here, if you're a grandparent, you have a grandkid here, if you're an aunt that's here, if you're whatever you are to one of these kids here, a sister, a friend, you've got to hold that rope for them. You've got to support them. And listen, if you don't feel capable for that, I guarantee that they'll turn around and they'll just hold your rope. If I was going to pick an A-team right now to go take on hell with, it'd be these kids because they have been in the presence of God. Sunday morning, whenever I'm going to be here at 8:30, I have been the past several Sundays, and it makes it really tough on my wife because I have 3 kids and one of them is not fun. But I'm going to be here at 8:30 Sunday morning, and just as I have been. And I just want to sit a chair down here, and I just want to be in the presence of God, and I want to expect God to move in my life. Again, I don't come to church for you. I come to meet with God, and it's just me and Him. If you want to join me, hey, come on. That's not a you have to be here. I'm not making anybody do anything, but I just want you to know the church will be open, and I'm going to be here. Praise team's going to be practicing, and it's probably weird for them, but I just come and have my own little worship service, and it's been some of the best times I've had over the past few weeks. So I want to encourage you, if you don't go to this church, go into your church Sunday morning expecting God to move. I don't know why we just think that we're just going to show up and recognize God. You have to be familiar with God. You have to know God like a family member. I asked the kids, I was like, hey, most of you, if you live with your mom, if you lined them up in a row of 1,000 people, could you pick your mom out? Absolutely you could. Well, if I blindfolded you and they just said your name, could you pick her out? Absolutely you could. You know why? It's because you see your mom every day. You talk to her every day. You know what it sounds like when she's getting on to you, when she's loving you. It's the same way it is with God. If you do not spend every day with Him and you're not listening for Him, how are you supposed to recognize Him? You're not familiar with who He is or what His voice sounds like. It takes effort. It's not easy. So I challenge you, be looking for God's will in your life. Be looking for God to move. Be expectant. Be rope holders for these young people. Young people, be rope holders for your family. A lot of you don't have family even here tonight. A lot of you's got family that they need a little bit of this, and you may be the only God that they ever see. And that's tough. I didn't have that. I've got some amazing parents that I wish I could have shared with all of you. And most of this church would call them parents as well because they've been staples in the majority of your life as I look out across. And so I'm so thankful for my parents. and our pastor and his wife for who they are and what they mean to this church, who introduced me to a Floyd and helped go with me the first 3 years that I was the youth leader to guide me in how it was supposed to work, because I had no clue. All right, I'm done. I could stand up here and speak all night. I love you, church. I love these young people. If you will let me have your kid, that for those of y'all that go to other churches, I would love to have them. I love this group that is here tonight. Thank you so much for your support, because it does take support. Just come expect it Sunday morning, wherever it might be. I want to pray for you guys, and then we're going to dismiss. Kids, don't forget to get your cell phones from Justin, and don't forget your stuff. Or we have Vacation Bible School next week. Hey, if you have any younger kids in the, I know it, 3 through 6th grade, we have VBS starting a week from tomorrow.
And if you plan to come, there's registration forms already.
Oh. When? Oh, I feel like today's Sunday. Sorry. You lose all track of time up there, I promise.
Monday night, 5:30.
Yeah.
Registration forms out there.
There you go. Send your kid to VBS. Free babysitting in the afternoons. All right. Thank y'all so much. Let's pray and we'll be dismissed. God, God, I thank you. Lord, I've had such a desire to be in your presence with these young people. God, I thank you for showing up. God, I thank you for allowing us to recognize your presence. God, I pray that, God, that we wouldn't lose it. God, I pray that whenever we come in Sunday morning to whatever church it might be, God, I pray that we would just desire you. God, that we would be familiar with your voice, that we would be familiar with your presence, God, and we would be looking to be wherever you're at. God, I pray for these young people. Lord, they deal with so much, but God, I pray that they would find those rope holders, God, that would be accountability partners for them, that would just be able to hold that other end of that rope, God, to keep them on the path that they're on. God, I pray that for these adults that are in here, God, they were relatives or whatever it might be. God, I pray that tonight that they might have just caught a glimpse of you, God. Lord, we just can't thank you enough for what you've done this week and in this place tonight. God, we just love you and we praise you. And all these things we ask in your name.